Hey, my name is Eric, and this is normally the part where Greg is the one that introduces it, but I'm going to introduce it now. We're here with Travis Stanberry, a very wonderful actor from a hit movie you may have seen called Groupers, among other things. And uh,
among other things.
but Travis, you came by Colorado Springs and hung out with me, and we had a pretty fun time. I would say. I don't know about you, but I enjoyed
I
the
would
time.
say as well. I would say that.
And on our show, I often bring up EntertainMart, and one place I brought you to before you left was EntertainMart. And so we do the giveaways of the gift cards, and I figure, well, shit, if Travis is here, I'm gonna have him pick out a movie instead of doing the gift card. I'm just gonna have you pick out a movie. I'm gonna buy you a movie, and then you'll watch it, and then we'll talk about it. And so here we are. But before we get into that, I kind of want to get your thoughts on EntertainMart because I talk about it quite a bit, but maybe you can kind of paint a picture of what that place is like.
Oh my God. It was nerd heaven. Are you kidding me? Like, it was freaking amazing. One should be in every town. Let's replace Chick-fil-A with fucking EntertainMart,
Agreed.
Oh yeah, no, we were in there, what, maybe 45 minutes at the most, maybe.
It felt like 30 seconds, but it was probably closer to 4 hours.
And so, no, I mean, I think we were in there for about 45 minutes, and I was just like, I haven't even looked at a third of the shit that I wanted to look at. I mean, the store just went on forever and ever. And I mean, I could have stood in one spot and just looked, and I did. I mean, that was the problem. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go over there. No, wait. And then just what was right in front of me would, sort of take my attention. But good God, the amount of, collectible and paraphernalia. Paraphernalia, no, that's a different thing. Sorry, that was that other store.
Movie nerd paraphernalia. You don't smoke it, you ingest it in your eyes.
You smoke it with your heart. And it was absolutely amazing. It's no offense, Eric, but it's the reason I want to come back to Colorado Springs.
I completely understand and agree with you. We got into the EntertainMart, but let's talk about you for a second. Obviously, a lot of our listeners know you from Groupers. Like, what are some other things you've been involved in? Because I've seen a short with you. You were like a taxi driver, a cab driver.
Okay.
And that was a really cool short. And I think both your performance in Groupers, which is very comedic, goes the exact opposite of your performance in that. Forgive me, I forget the name of the short, but it was really good.
It's funny. I don't remember really what it was called either. It was a really neat thing. It was this, I don't know what it was called. There's going to be somebody out there that remembers what it was called. I could probably call the director or whatever, get a hold of him and find out what the hell. Anyway, it was a contest. It was a contest for it. I think it started with a photograph, right? It started with a photograph, and they said, all right, what happens next? And all of these filmmakers started with that photograph and then told the story of what happened next. And whoever won that thing, their thing was the beginning of the thing. And then wherever they left off, that shot would be the first shot in the next thing. So this went on, and so, I mean, my part was like part 3 or part 4, and other actors had played, this part of this cab driver. And so it was just really cool. I got to, and so our thing won. The director was a brilliant guy, Keegan Yule, and Keegan's short won. And so our thing got to be the next thing that had to be added on to, and then I think somewhere they showed them all at once, and I don't know how confusing that must have been. Just confusing as hell for actors to keep changing all the way through, like, freaking. I'm trying to think of a movie that did that.
Didn't they have the YouTube My RoboCop movie? But wasn't that something similar where
There was a RoboCop movie on YouTube. What?
it was like a RoboCop fan film thing where someone did the first scene, and then a bunch of completely different people did the second scene, and so on and so forth. And so
they got a thing like that for Shrek. Or they got a thing like that for Shrek. They got one like that for Star Wars, where people do them back a minute at a time.
Oh wow! Oh well, it was very much like that. It was very much like that. I mean, the story went wherever the next segment took it. Nobody knew where this thing was going or where it was going to end. They just did that one little piece. So
almost like
that was
film improv, almost like film improv, sort of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I mean, there was a script for our part. There was a script, but other people, like, if the three of us were shooting, that was our script, and then these other three guys would be shooting, and that would be their script. And so that I'm sure the stories were different in whichever way they took it, but whatever, the best one had to win, and ours won. And are people going to be able to see this? Am I looking, or is it just my voice? Is it too late to ask this? It's podcast, right? Like it's
most people listen to it, but Greg will have a video version of it. Whether or not he will for this part, it's hard to say. So, but you look great there. Your background's good. I mean, I
didn't do my makeup. I should have.
You didn't, because you look beautiful.
Showered. Right now. I put a little rouge and bags under my eyes. I obviously don't know makeup, but anyway. Okay. Well, no. I was just curious. I was thinking about putting on a hat. I don't know.
No, you look great. But I guess we should get to the. We should get to the meat of this.
Yeah, enough about silly old me and my run of films.
You chose a movie called Billy Jack, and yes. I think Billy Jack's one of those. There's like three things. There's people that have no idea. There's people that are very familiar with Billy Jack, and then there's people that know of it but don't quite know. Like they have an idea of what it is, and I think they might be completely wrong.
So I had no idea that there were 7 of these things. I think there were 7.
I thought there was 4, but I could.
Well,
I'm not the guy to.
I knew about 2. I knew about 2 as a kid. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think there are 4, at least 4.
Okay, so there's somewhere between 4 and 7 of these things.
Yes, between 1 and 100. Some numbers.
Right. It can't be as many as the Fast and Furious movies, but still. It was it was a lot. So 4, like Superman.
So what because I know you, when we're in EntertainMart, you were having kind of a hard time just because it was so overwhelming. What made you focus in on? You came across Billy Jack, and I think once you did, your eyes lit up, and I'm like, that's what we're doing. I got
really excited, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those movies that I remembered, but then when I watched it, realized I had a completely different version in my head of what this movie was like. I thought it was more like Walking Tall, the old with Joe Don Baker. I thought it was more of that sort of style, which I mean, it kind of was, in that it was low budget. It had a almost let's put the camera over here, shoot, feel to it. But I didn't remember all that singing. Just good God, with the singing, it had more music than Cats. Like, what the hell was going on? And it just the way they made movies then was just like way different.
This is way different than a lot of movies I think made back then too, though. I think this is its own little weird thing. Before we go any further, I'm going to read, just for fun, this is the synopsis on IMDb, which is ridiculous. You're going to get nothing from it. But people are going to be like, what is this? What is this Billy Jack of which you speak? From 1971, Tom Laughlin. They will have no idea who he is. But imagine, I don't know, your second-rate Steve McQueen dressed in all denim with kind of a sort of a Native American hat, kind of. Anyway, it says, ex-Green Beret, Hapkido expert, saves wild horses from being slaughtered for dog food, and helps protect a desert freedom school for runaway. That's the description.
Wait, what? A what freedom school?
A desert, quote, freedom school.
A desert freedom school. See, right there, what the hell is a freedom school? Like, what?
I mean, the weird thing is that that description is not wrong, but it doesn't.
It makes no sense.
I always thought of Billy Jack as kind of like an anti-action movie, because usually in action movies you have the you have the bad guy and the good guy comes in and beats him up.
All right.
But this movie, the characters, a lot of the characters are hippies and they're pacifists.
Yeah, didn't want to fight.
And so they're actually basically holding Billy Jack back, saying, you can't do this. And he's kind of he respects him and he loves him. And he's like, okay, I really want, and he also acknowledges that he has anger issues. And so and these are aspects of character that you never ever see in a movie like this. And I'm kind of surprised that you don't. I could be wrong, but I think this is kind of a one of a kind. Like, as much as people seem to think that they're inspired by Billy Jack, movies seem to be inspired by Billy Jack, they don't really take the moral stance that Billy Jack does, which is kind of odd.
Wow, interesting. Yeah. It wasn't like a heavy, because if this movie was remade today, there would be so many more fight scenes. You could just feel it. Like, Billy Jack would have been throwing guys through, windows, and fucking, there would have been at least one explosion at the end where they blew up the town, whatever, that was run by the bad guys or whatever, and then, but it would be like, oh, we're going to fight. And the scene's over.
Now, also, this probably has more to do with, because I don't know a lot of the history of how Billy Jack got made, but I think that because this is really very rough around the edges. In fact, the fight scenes are fight scenes are not what you go to this movie for. Maybe it's what you go to this movie for, but then once you get there, it's like, oh, that's it. Like, the fight scenes are very rough.
They were at least better than, like, say, Dolomite fight scenes.
Yeah, a little bit. The weird thing is, let's see, when did this movie come out? It was 71.
As old as I am.
Normally movies come out, because we're pretty woke culture, whether that's a good or a bad thing to you is your personal preference, but normally a lot of movies that people go back to, there's always problematic things. Blazing Saddles is a great example of that. Billy Jack like kind of holds up really well to woke culture today. I think the only problem I would see is the fact that they call him a half-breed, which probably not. that specific term wouldn't fly today. But the context and the content of the story of Billy Jack, I think would hold up very well today. It was actually really progressive for the time.
I think, and I felt like when I was watching this, I felt like it might have also been a reaction. I don't know, guys, if you remember, there's a lot of movies that were like weird, crazy hippies or hippie cults or hippies terrorizing like the straight family. There's a lot of those kind of movies going on, and this is more like the reverse of that, where it's like the total hippie culture is being terrorized by straight culture. Straight, when I say straight, I mean middle class,
all
suburban.
that middle class bullshit. Nice, straight haircuts and now, wearing your.
That being said, I have to put a warning out to people, because like we said, if you aren't down for a lot of very rough folk singing and a lot of street acting, this might not be your cup of tea. But if you can sit through some of those scenes, there's some really amazing scenes. And it's funny because you're talking about one of the big fight scenes, or maybe the big fight scene, is so hilarious but also fun, is that where he goes out into the street and he takes his shoes off and it's like, oh, he's ready to kick ass.
He's ready to fight. That was the big signifier. And so you reminded me, I just remembered just now, it's like I said, it's now been a little while since I've watched this movie, but I'm sitting there and they're gonna, hey man, let's show this, straights what we do, man. The council, they're gonna bring them over and show them what we do, man, at the Freedom School. And there was Howard Hessman.
Oh yeah, Howard Hessman.
As Howard
Johnny Fever.
Fucking Fever. All of those scenes, I would love to find out, but just from watching it, I am 99% sure I'm right about this, that they really were doing that kind of thing. They had a group that would, again, I'm making this up, but it seemed like there was a group of people, and Howard Hessman was one of them, of actors, that were doing this sort of thing that they were showing these townspeople. But this, to them, they were just like, oh, this is just something we do. So I think all of that was just like, set up the camera, see what happens. Like, let them do their thing.
Yes.
We'll edit it, because it all seemed really, really improvised.
Well, it was like, how everyone
some
right
of the
now,
best acting of the movie, and I was just like, well, there's no script because they're committing to this shit. Like, like way more than the actual movie that I'm seeing.
It was funny because, there's this whole thing about right now, Nomadland and movies like that, which are like, most of the actors aren't actors, and everyone's praising how you can't even tell.
Right.
You can tell in this movie, but it's strangely compelling. And like you said, there's another scene where they're driving the bus into town, and you're supposed to be seeing the point of view of them from the bus, and all the people like turning and looking at them with kind of disdain. And I feel that's real. That looked real.
Yeah. I felt like that was just, they drove through a town, had those cameras up, and just, because there's no way that movie had the budget for that many extras. There's just no way. And then to sort of comment on the thing that you said, about the bad acting or whatever, like, well, how did you put it? Street acting. I love that term. I'm gonna steal that. The street acting, like it made, Tom Laughlin and the woman who played, the lead lady look like fucking, Laurence Olivier and, Judi Dench. Like, it was crazy. So, it's on a spectrum.
This is a fascinating, curious movie that doesn't quite fit into categories. And we had to let Eric talk too, because we're just like talking, but
go on.
It is a strange time capsule. And this reminds me of so many classes I had in the 70s in like alternative versions of grade schools and stuff, and how you'd be in like these group rooms for English, and people would role play and all this stuff. I mean, that's all like totally, this is pre all the self-actualization you get in the mid and late 70s, when you watch any Woody Allen from late 70s and you'll see it. It's like
right.
So yeah.
I think Billy Jack is one of those movies that this is definitely a movie that could be remade, because this is a movie that has wonderful ideas with poor execution, and a lot of actually great execution in some ways, poor execution in a lot of ways. And that has mostly to do with the tools they had available at them them at the time. I believe that nobody wanted to make this movie, and half Indian, half white man goes around beating up people because of
right. And there's fucking singing every 30 minutes, like maybe more, maybe less. Like, it was like every 20 minutes.
But I think where this movie really shines is its heart is there. The morals are there. This is a movie that wants to make the world a better place, knowing full well that it will not succeed, but it's going to try anyway. I think that's very beautiful when art can do something like that. It's like, I know what time it is. I know no one's going to watch Billy Jack and just change everything, but you know what? Fuck it. We're going to try anyway. And that's that's a pretty good, that's a pretty way to go about things.
Well said. And it's real easy to be, as I've sit here and sort of done, and now I'm sort of embarrassed in light of what you just said. But it's real easy to be cynical about a movie like this that really has a message and and heart. And sure, like You know, could the cinematography have been better? Like, could some of the editing have been a little less, you know? But it was just this raw piece of, and they're like, and then I love what you know, just discovered. I'm sure that's true. Like, to find out that it was their thing. They wanted to make this movie, and by golly, even though there's probably not a chance in hell that we'll change the world, we're gonna fucking do it anyway and put it out there. That's beautiful. Like, I want to do one movie like that, you know, like where you're just fucking invested, like with your whole self, you know. Yeah, that is, it's a beautiful thing. And we can, no, I mean, it's a really easy target to pick on the cinema of it, you know, the kind of, you know, the acting and the, you know, whatever else you wanted to pick on. I mean, it has a lot that you could, but then like I was saying, like, it's if you want to be cynical, and you'll miss the whole thing. Like, it would be really easy to make you know, an updated version of Billy Jack, but make it like with, like, you know, really
Vin
for lack
Diesel
of a better,
or something,
or say what?
Vin Diesel or somebody, or
yeah,
know.
with Vin Diesel. But I was
you can't kill horses. The family,
the family. That they're family, and this was a movie about family, so he would be perfect.
It is.
This is kind of like, it's kind of like Ed Wood, right? Where the passion eclipsed the technical skill, but the drive wouldn't be stopped. Whereas you get another movie, I think other movies at the time that are, I guess, kind of like, you talked about Walking Tall, or you can talk about like what Death Wish and some of these other movies that are kind of all moralistic too, but even though they're a different take on it, but they seem a lot more cynical. And that's the thing you don't get here. This is not cynical. This is right to Eric's point. This is absolutely not cynical. So the people that love this movie or will discover this movie, they're going to see this diamond in the rough that Eric is kind of talking about, where it's like, sure, it's very rough on the edges, and we got to hear another little kid sing another terrible folk song. But like you said, the heart is in the right place. And this is a passion project, and somehow they got it done, and somehow they got it out there, and people still remember it. And that's something right there. And then
they go on to make 3 more fucking movies, you know, of that, because whatever popularity it had gained. I mean, I bet they didn't think they were going to make 3 more. You know, I'm sure it was.
He was ballsy enough to leave it with a cliffhanger, though.
Well, was that a cliffhanger though, or was that?
Well, I guess it could be not a cliffhanger, but it left it open enough.
Yeah,
for the trial of Billy Jack.
Yeah, but I mean, not to get into spoilers, I guess we can't because it's old enough. But I saw that the ending is a proper ending. Had they not made sequels, that ending works because he's giving himself up. He's like, I'm giving myself up to do this thing, so long as we know that this and this will happen. Do we have confirmation on that? Yes. Okay, right. Then fucking take me in. And that's the kind of hero Billy Jack is. He's not a hero because he punches people. He's a hero because he believes in something, and he'll, you know, and again, that's something you don't see in action movies. Vin Diesel's not going to jail to sacrifice himself for his morals at the end of a Fast and the Furious, you know.
Right. I mean, the ending reminds me, when you put it the way you put it, you know, it's reminiscent of First Blood. You know, he fucking destroys the whole town, but then he ends up giving himself up after being talked into it or whatever. I mean, the reasons were different in this and the other, but like that, there's your spectrum right there. Fucking First Blood, Billy Jack, you know, like star power, and you know, but you know, oh shoot, what was I going to say? That. You know, and I think it would be a shame. One, it would be a shame if they remade it and then like just didn't get like sort of what we're talking about, like this non-cynical, like, no, we're not going to make a movie that's full of fucking violence because we're actually trying to say that's stupid. You know, like, why would you make a movie? And even though Billy Jack resorts to that, it is a last resort. And he does it with respect. He doesn't then finally go in there and be like, well, I'm just going to fucking slit everybody's throats now and fuck this, you know. And then the other thing I would hate to see is if they remade it, is if they did it sort of like as a tongue-in-cheek thing. Like they made fun of the singing, and they made fun of the the dynamic and whatever, which and now that I'm saying this, I thought that would be a more, I'm like, well, if they did redo it, this is what they do. They'd make fun of the whole thing.
Yeah.
They do what, Ben Stiller did with Starsky and Hutch or whatever. Like, it would just be.
But again, at the top of this, I said, and mentioned that there's three people. There's people that know intimately what Billy Jack is, people that don't know, and people that think they know what Billy Jack is. So the people that don't know and the people that think that know what Billy Jack is, if they did the Sharknado version of Billy Jack, would be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. But then the people that actually like get what Billy Jack was going for, I would probably watch a remake of the Sharknado version of Billy Jack and be like, I am so angry right now.
Yeah, right.
It's like
old hippies.
You may as well go to Tom McLaughlin's grave and just piss on it.
Just piss all over it. Yeah, I mean, I really wonder what that would be like, if they really tried to make a true adaptation, not only in story but cinema as well, and what that would look like. I mean, really, if they kept all the singing parts, like I said, which by the fourth or fifth time, whatever it was, I mean, I was kind of like, okay, like, I know we're gonna close in on the kid's face that's singing the song. I get it. Okay, fine.
Well, I was going to say, Zoom is telling me that we have not much left before the recording stops. So, I just want to go around and get everyone's last. I'll pull the part of Greg's Rizavasti here and say, does anyone have any last thoughts on the Billy Jack?
Okay.
All right.
Well, let's let him go last. So I'll just say what I said before, and I'll kind of succinctly say it's a time capsule. It's rough around the edges, but like we said, it's got a lot of heart. And check it out. If nothing else, you have never seen a movie quite like this before. So I think that there's some gold to be found amidst the possibly painful singing. Check it out.
Yeah. Me.
Okay.
Your turn. You. Well, I just hope I was. I felt. Gosh, you guys sure know your business, and I hope that I hope I didn't dumb it down too much here for you guys today. I'm just going to recap sort of what you said, and because I agree, like this, it's a wonderful little gem of a time capsule. You really, I mean, I don't think there was a costume designer other than maybe for Tom Laughlin when they were like, you're going to wear a big hat and no shoes and whatever, but like everybody else, I'm pretty sure it was just, everybody was wearing what they had at home, and you really get that like right after the 60s feel, because it was, it was 71 or whatever. And yeah, I think that even if you watch it and you all have a cynical heart, you won't make it through the movie. It's just not going to happen. But I invite you, dear listeners and viewers, to go and treat yourself to Billy Jack. You may have your new favorite Halloween costume.
Definitely my new favorite Halloween costume. Yeah, Billy Jack is not going to be for everyone, but like Travis said, there's definitely a lot to be had here. There's something to glean from this, and but if you're not well, shit, Travis said it perfect. If you're cynical at heart, this is you're not going to you're just going to see this as a Sharknado type movie and not take it seriously, and which is unfortunate, because I think the movie does take itself seriously, even though it's absolutely rough around the edges.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But still, again, I mean, it's not like if you're gonna, compare it to like, what, badly made movies that have poor production value and all this stuff, like it's not the worst, like it's one of the better ones of that kind, of that.
I mean, it's not as good as Slithis, but it's still worth watching.
As what?
Slithis.
I miss Slithis. Did I miss Slithis?
Slithis. Hell hath no fury like.
Oh, well, I have a new holy grail now.
But Travis, it's awesome having you on here.
Yes,
Always
thank
great talking to you. And yeah.
Well, thank you both for having me. Yeah, I'm sorry I was late. I hope I didn't throw up things too much. You know, fucking actors, right? Fucking can't be on time for anything. But you know, I've enjoyed it, and you know, I'd look forward to coming back sometime. I love talking movies. I've loved talking movies with you guys. You, like I say, you just the kind of people I like talking to movies about. So
yeah, and hopefully next time you come to Colorado Springs, we're gonna have to take some video. We'll just do selfies everywhere.
We'll take some video. I'm gonna fuck with the military around there. I don't know exactly how yet, but
I live in Alabama now. You could really have some fun here.
Oh shit, you're in Alabama? Oh my God, you've seen some shit.
We could have some Billy Jack action down here. I tell you right now.
You could. I mean, you know, where did it take place? Where did Billy Jack take place?
I thought it was Arizona someplace or something.
Arizona.
Or New Mexico,
right, yeah.
Maybe? Arizona, New Mexico, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I think it was New Mexico, somewhere deserty like that. But
because you have that Pueblo kind of Indian type of thing going on there.
That story could easily take place in Alabama and, you know, in anywhere middle class America, you know.
Yeah.
In the
a lot of people don't know this about Bruce, but whenever someone fucks with him, Bruce like, don't make me take my boots off. But I think we're about to get kicked off the Zoom here.
Okay.
But yeah, it was real fun. And yes, check out Billy Jack.